is slender, my fingers they are small, but it would not make me tremble to see 10,000 fall. Oh, just 10,000 fall. Oh, she leaned over, she looked all around. Her mama dead and moved in her daughter boy she found. Oh, the daughter boy she found. Up all in her arms, carried him to the town. She sent for a physician, and we quickly healed his wounds. Oh, quickly healed his wounds. This couple they got married, so well free. This couple they got married, so what are you and me? Oh, what are you and me? Awoke today, felt your son of bed. The covers were still warm where you'd been laying. You were was filled with dread. You might not be sleeping here again, but it's alright, 'cause I love you, and that's not gonna change. Run me round, make me hurt again and again. But I'll still sing you love songs written in the letters of your name. Weather's starting to come, though it surely looks like rain. Street cats making love. You guess from their cries you were listening to a fight. Well, you know, hate's just the last thing they're thinking of. trying to make it through the night.
Here comes
Just like Jack the Ripper, just like Mojo Bay, just like Billy Sunday, in a shotgun daytime baby. Just like New York City, just like Jericho. Please the heart and calm the walls. Get out, they blow. Did you say your name was Rambling Rose? Ramble on, baby. Settle down easy. Ramble on, Rose. Just like Jack and Jill. Mama told the sinner, "Don't heat up and not cool down, leave nothing for the tailor." Just like Jack and Jill. Papa told the jailer, "One go and one go down."
Okay. I'm having some technical problems here, everybody. But at least you should be able to hear my microphone, finally, and you should be able to hear the music, and you should be able to see me. So these are all improvements on how things were 25 minutes ago. My desk has 2 monitors on it, and there used to be a third, a TV. And over break, I was like, well, I never watch TV while I'm at the desk, which is basically true. And if I do, then I'm watching like a streaming thing or whatever on one of the monitors. So I moved the TV away. And in so doing, I was like, oh, now I have all this space on the desk because the TV is gone, so I can scoot the monitors over. And in scooting the monitors over, the microphone had to also get scooted, but it got scooted so far to this side, to the left, that I couldn't use it anymore. It wouldn't reach to here. So then I tried to do it centrally, like right here, but then that would have covered the camera, A, and B, the monitor arm is right here, and the mic couldn't come forward because it was hitting the monitor arm. So now I move the mic to the right side, where, I mean, everything is working, but like, this is a relatively high traffic part of my apartment, and when the mic is not in use, I can't just have the arm up in the air because I don't know. I'll try it. I'll see how it works. So all of this, and I may end up moving the monitors back over anyway, and then just having unused space over here to the left that you can't see anyway. But there's, like, I'm only using about half of the desk's area with the computers now. And if it is the case that there's no real way for me to salvage this, then geez, I don't know what I'll do. But yeah. So, and then of course, like, you can see the monitor here in the screen. I mean, I can sort of try to fix that. Okay, that wasn't so bad. And then there's the camera's off. It's not really sent. I mean, it just doesn't end. So, one tiny thing. I moved my TV from my desk to my bookcase, and my stream is a half hour late as a result. So I apologize to any viewers, current or future, who are just like, what is going on this alleged stream? There's no sound for 10 minutes, and then et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, while I was moving everything, I ended up like hitting the space bar, and that paused them. I mean, just didn't end. So, welcome to Studio Remote. My name is Moacir. I am the Research Data Librarian at Columbia University Libraries. And, well, actually, I should welcome you to Coding with the Dead, which is what the name of this show is. And it's a part of the Studio Remote family of web-based entertainment brought to you by Columbia University Libraries. And I've been on hiatus, which is how come I managed to make a tiny little change in my streaming setup and not notice for 3 weeks that it ruined everything. And today I'm only going to do two things. I'll talk a little bit about what happened during the hiatus and what sort of stuff I've been up to. And then I will go into working some more on Ember via TypeScript. So I think when at my last episode, which I think was something like, it was at the beginning of December, it doesn't matter the particular date, but in that episode I said that I would spend the break trying to learn a couple new things with regard to Ember and with regard to specifically towards making it a little bit more modern, making my app a little bit more modern and using a couple more of these sorts of app design decisions that are gaining currency within the Ember community and that sort of define, broadly speaking, an Ember app in 2022. So, among those things are the app has to be or should be running 4.0 or at least 3.28, Ember 3.28 or Ember 4.0. And Ember is also, the actual framework is written in TypeScript, but Ember isn't really exposing a kind of, there's no official TypeScript developer experience yet. And if you want to TypeScriptify your app, you run into a couple problems. So I guess I'll just move straight to that because it is a good description of what I'll be doing for the rest of the day today. So let's switch over to my computer, and that works correctly. Okay, so small favors or whatever the appropriate expression is. So here's my computer. Here's my shell. Let me see if this text is appropriately large. It should be okay. All right, so let's go to. So let's just go to wander text and let's wipe everything out here. Okay, so the question about what to do with or how to do TypeScript on Ember is a little bit tricky. So let me open up a new browser window here and show you. See, like this does, I have to look through the microphone arm to see what's going on this computer. This is not a workable solution. Oy, oy, oy. So many decisions were made with the assumption that that TV would always be there. And now that it's not... Okay, anyway, y'all don't care about that. So if I just do a regular search for Ember TypeScript on search, I get this website, docsembercli-typescript.com, and we'll get to that in a second. And these are the documents for this library, typed Ember. And let me zoom in a little bit so it's a little bit bigger. Okay, so there's this documentation that's tied into this library, and then if I scroll down a little bit more, I get this blog post. So this blog post is unrelated to, I mean, that is to say, the blog post is not written by the same people that created these docs, and there are some conflicts, let's say, But what I like about this blog post, even though it's not like quote unquote the official documentation on how to do TypeScript with Ember, it makes use of this idea of a meta tutorial, which is taking the Super Rentals tutorial from Ember Guides, which you can see here, and rewriting the whole thing as a TypeScript project instead of as an Ember project. So I think, I'm not sure, but I think that in this blog post, it doesn't end up with a repository that you can look at to see how it looks. Let's see, what's this? Let's commit. Oh, I guess it does. And so I decided to sort of, I was on the Ember Discord and I was talking to some of the people who are doing the TypeScript stuff, and I said, well, there's like conflicting information here. And then another problem, or one of the things that was tripping me up over this documentation was that there were things said like there is no public import path in the Ember data. Let me zoom in on this too so you can see it better. There is no public import path in the Ember data packages API for the prompt, blah, 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 blah. These types are slowly being disentangled. So this is language that implies a sense of temporality. These types are slowly being disentangled from Ember data and will eventually be removed. Well, eventually when? I don't know if this documentation was written in, so it says here, last modified 7 months ago. Ember is a fast-changing framework. Everything in the Java community is moving pretty quickly. So in those 7 months, has this eventually be removed? Has that happened? Has that removal happened? I don't know. It may not have, but again, 7 months is kind of a long time to go, whatever. So it's unclear, and until they are, we need a way to refer to them. So for now, until when? Until what happens? How can I check, and then how can I trust that this will be updated when it becomes the case? And there was some reason I didn't really trust it, and I don't really remember what that is off the top of my head. But then it says, in the future, they will become unnecessary. So that's great, but is that the case now? I don't know. I think the reason why I was skeptical whether this would be updated or not is because if you go to the library, and this isn't a criticism, it's just sort of like a description of what my process was like. So if I go here, I see that the most recent commit was in October, so that's like 4 months ago. So the documentation hasn't been updated in 7 months. The last commit was 4 months ago. So it's not unreasonable to think that those changes in the documentation that are like about to come haven't come yet. So we end up with this sort of situation where I just don't know. I don't know how to use the Ember TypeScript library, and I'm wary of whether this documentation will actually work. So this is the beginning of a problem. So then the other thing I noticed was there's another repo here that Ember TypeScript relies on, which is Ember TypeScript blueprints. And that hasn't been updated since September. Now, what the blueprints do, for those of you who aren't familiar with how Ember works, is Ember has a command line interface that I've used on the stream a bunch of times to like generate new components or new models or new routes or anything like that. And basically whenever you type Ember in the command line, so here I can type Ember, and then there's a bunch of stuff that I've done with Ember that you can see here. And anything that I write that's Ember blah 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 uses this command line. And if I go Ember generate new route, then the way it knows what that new route file should look like here, let me see. I don't know why the git ignore is different. Oh. Let's just do this. Okay. The way it knows how to create these templates is through what's called blueprints. And so when you install this library, Ember TypeScript, or the Ember TypeScript library, it relies on the Ember TypeScript blueprints library to know what these templates should look like, these blueprints. And so I'm like, yes, finally, everything's all good. I've got this all going. And then I did Ember create or generate component, and it used old syntax, or it used the classic component structure, which is to say it created the template for the component inside app templates components, and it automatically created a JavaScript file, a class, which I'm not even positive was a class, for the component in app components. And this is pre-Octane behavior. Octane has been out since 2018, 2017, maybe even. So since that time, the quote-unquote contemporary, the ergonomic, however you want to describe it, way to do components has been to have the class file .js, so blah, for a component called blah.js and blah.hbs in app components, and to not automatically create blah.js unless it's asked for, to have template-only components. And, of course, TS instead of JS because we're dealing with TypeScript here. So I was like, well, that's really weird. Why are these blueprints, not just a little old, but, really old, like pre-Octane. Again, Octane came out, I don't want to lie or anything like that, but I think it was 2018. Ember Octane release. Okay. The end of 2019? I guess so. Yeah, the end of 2019, December 2019. So this stuff hasn't been updated since. And of course, pandemic, blah, blah, blah. But so then I was just like, well, this messes things up. Of course, I can just write the TypeScript files myself. But, I may forget how to do it correctly. And isn't it important for the blueprints to be contemporary? So I made a bunch of changes. So one of the contributors to this Ember CLI TypeScript blueprints, one thing that they did is they started updating everything, but they ran into certain problems about how the tests were working or whatever. I don't completely understand what was going on, and they just sort of stopped making those changes, and we're just like I give up. I don't know how to do this. And when I came in over break, and I had the benefit of not being deep in the Ember CLI TypeScript blueprints library, but rather coming at it with fresh eyes and saying, well, how does Ember do this for its regular blueprints? Like if I do Ember G component with component class, it creates these specific JS and HBS files, etc. So how does it do that? And can I just copy all of that into these blueprints, like the way Ember does it today, and then just make the necessary changes so that things would look TypeScripty? And that's what I did. And that pull request, I think, is it's hanging out here. It's been hanging out for almost a month, but that's okay, because in the meantime, as a result of this pull request, I now have a linked version on my computer of these blueprints so that they do the appropriate thing, or they do what I think is supposed to be the appropriate thing. And the reason this is all important and why I'm talking about this for 15 minutes or whatever is because, like I said, Ember is in the process of moving towards being much more explicit about a TypeScript experience for the developers. So, for example, this RFC, which is how Ember, the way changes happen to Ember on a big scale, is that people make suggestions, these things called RFCs, and you can see there's 776 of them, or more actually, and that they people discuss them and talk about what the good things or bad things are about these, and so this suggestion is that the blueprints should be written in TypeScript and then optionally changed to JavaScript. So that currently, like I said, if I do Ember G route index, it'll create a file called index.js for me. But what it should do, because that blueprint it should give me the option built into Ember to make that a TS TypeScript file instead of a JS file. And because Ember is written in TypeScript itself, like if you go to Ember.js and then you click on Ember.js and then you go to packages and then you go to Ember and I don't know, service or whatever, like you see index.d.ts. Okay, so this I guess is still index.js, but there's plenty of TypeScript stuff going on here. And so the idea is to and then there's another RFC that I thought was part of this RFC or mentioned it. Oh, it's here in the rendered. TypeScript is, they're making moves over the past year to make TypeScript official in Ember. So it's a bunch of moving parts that are all moving together, and to make this kind of to increase the visibility of TypeScript. And this is really interesting or is important to me because TypeScript is something I'm kind of interested in that I don't know a ton about, but as a result I feel like I have some kind of a legitimate voice, because I can say look, I'm a learner, I don't know TypeScript in and out, this part is unclear to me, this part doesn't make sense, this part blah blah blah, and I can vocalize these sorts of points of confusion. And among them, how I started talking about this is that the documentation presents a situation that looks like it's in flux and you don't know if you can trust it or not. So and the flex seems to be this kind of thing, and again, this isn't a critique. This is just how these sorts of things seem to move, and it's valuable to see this from a distance, to think of how my own contributions and in my own collaborative work, like how that sort of how these things happen, because you have the people who are like the big TypeScript boosters. The sense I get is that they have this much bigger plan in mind, which is to make to provide official TypeScript support for Ember. And so the lifting to like bring along these dinky little libraries like the blueprints and whatever, like what's the point of updating these blueprints so that they work in 2022 Ember if in like 4 months or something like that all of Ember is going to be TypeScript? And that makes sense. Like but in the meantime, I personally am in this weird position because I don't know. I'm not comfortable enough with TypeScript to just write my own files. Like I do want blueprints, but the blueprints I get, I can tell just from looking at them that they're not appropriate. So there we go. Anyway, like I said, my pull request does make blueprints that do look right and feel correct to me, and I like that. And I will make some of those today. Okay. What sort of thing should I show now? So the TypeScript thing is the big thing, is the big change that I've done. And if you look at git log, you'll see a bunch of updates to yarn lock. Don't crash Ember on TS TypeScript errors. Update routes to TypeScript and model registries to models. So this fixes this issue 911 that I had. Upgrade models to TypeScript fixes 913. Install Ember CLI TypeScript and get XO. So XO is the linter. It was having problems, and then we're back to December. Oh, this is all in December too, but there were some lingering things that needed to be updated that weren't, and that was kind of the stuff I did during the hiatus. But I ended up in this situation where I updated the models. So if we look at a model, actually let's just open it in the editor. So if I open this up, here in the editor, we see that there are a bunch of new things are imported here. Maybe I can show this as a diff instead. So let's just go here. Oh, I should pull. I think these were changes I made on my other computer. Great. someday I will know what to do with these problems. Actually, you know, maybe I should all right, let's solve how to do this, because this is a problem I run into all the time. Wow. All right, let's see if that works. Okay, so now it's saying all of this stuff, so let's use git pull to merge the remote branch into yours. So let's stash yarn lock, and let's do git pull, and then we have, okay, so we have these problems here, so both modified yarn lock. So now let's do these suggestion here. Git rebase origin master. So git rebase origin main. Fatal, it seems like there's already a rebase merge directory. Okay. So git checkout origin master. Okay, so git co origin main yarn lock. Okay, and then do yarn install. Okay, so now there's a change, so now I can do git add yarn lock. So let me see what it says here. So it just says modified, git add yarn lock, and then git rebase continue. Okay, so I guess that worked. So now if I look at the log, I get update yarn lock again, update embroider. Okay, so these are the changes I made this morning at on my other computer. And there we go. Let's run yarn one more time. Okay, so everything's up to date. And then why did I start doing all this? Oh, because I wanted to show the...
Don't you want your daddy to be alright? I said, now, baby, oh, it's for sure. I got the fever.
Okay, so let's just have a look at this. So as we can see, so I added a bunch of TypeScript stuff. So app models contributor.js was deleted. Oh, the file names were changed, so you can't see all the new stuff. Okay, so I can't just do a diff to show that. So let's go back to this. So typically, all you have to do when you do this sort of, when you create a model in regular Ember is it does import model, and then you maybe have to import an attr attribute, and then has many and belongs to if it has these associations. You do not have to import async has many, however, and you definitely don't need to import a bunch of other models. Oops. And then there's this other thing here where you have to register your model with the model registry because of how Ember relies on strings to do I can't remember what the term is now, but it like accesses things via strings, which makes it tricky for typing because anything can go in a string, so how does it know what to expect? So you and then in TypeScript way you use the attr decorator, and then you declare this property name and you give it a type string. Year is a number, string, and then created at is a date, modified at is a date, and then here instead of just doing has many entry property, which is what you would do in the old Ember, you have to do all this extra stuff. So you have to say that entry property is an async has many, and an async has many of the model entry property. So that's why you have to import entry property at the top. Furthermore, not all of the attributes are required. So if an attribute is not required, it has this little question mark at the end. So created at, as you can see, is required, but modified at is not. And that's because presumably modified at is empty when you create something. But whenever it's created, it will always have a date associated with the creation. So, and then here for text, the name, it has to have a name. So, this is a way of doing some validations, etc. That help with these kinds of things. So that's the the models. Now, if I look at the routes, oops. We can see that there's some yucky stuff here, like import DS from Ember data. So this is I think the problem that was referred to here. Or actually, maybe this comes from the from that blog post, because so there. It's funny because this came up in the okay. Has many, you should use DS promise many array model or model if the value's false. Okay, so this is async versus non-async, and then for now via the legacy DS import. So just today, I think on the Discord, let me see if I can find the discussion. I mean, I won't have it on screen, but I can have a peep here. And okay, so let me scroll. Okay, don't use DS. But then we don't really get okay. So the legacy DS import. So I already don't do that in the model because as you can see, so why am I importing DS here? So that I get promise array. But is promise array already... Is it exported by Ember data? That's a great question. So I guess promise array is an Ember data store? Ember data store has no exported member promise array. Okay. So let's continue to use the DS. Unless this conversation on Ember, the Ember Discord from yesterday has something here. So let me just quickly look at these files because this is a person who was trying to do just this very thing. So let me look at this. Okay. Okay, I think that this comes from Ember routing route, where because this is where the model hook comes from. So if I look here for model, it returns just a promise. Okay. Okay, so I should be able to just change this to promise. Oh, that's why. Because find all returns a promise array. So if I go to Ember Data Store, so we're back to Ember Data Store Promise Array, but it's not actually exported. Classes. Store, but not promise array. Maybe. See, this word private is kind of hooking or sort of making me uncomfortable and making me think that it's not part of what Ember Store actually exports. But that's strange because the store has a method, find all, and find all returns a promise.
Fool.
So this says promise array text model, array proxy text model is not assignable to type promise text model. So maybe this is the problem that is described in the documentation, and I was just sort of yada-yadaing it. So routes, resolve p equals extends promise infer t to export type my route model. This is transition stuff. So I think this was part of the... So this works, right? With the DS. So they say don't use DS on the Discord, and this is a kludge for now, and will change in the future. But this is a much more seemingly ergonomic way of describing this than doing all this extra stuff, because so I don't I mean, I can explain sort of what happens here, where resolved of type P, where P extends a promise, and if it's a promise, whatever, then you return T, and if not, it's just you return itself. And I think that it takes in any type, right? And if the type is a promise, it transforms the type into whatever the promise resolves to. Otherwise, it just returns the same type. Okay. So, but then this is this is part of the documentation issue because in case you can't see it, I'll read this out loud. So our final my route model type takes the return type from our model hook. I guess from class my route extends model. Okay. Model hook, and uses the resolve type to get the type the promise will resolve to. Okay, so now I'm closer to understanding this. That is exactly the type we will have available as at model in the template and as this dot model on a controller. This in turn allows us to use what? Controllers? The next step? Maybe. I don't know. So the documentation ends in the middle of a sentence. So okay, so let's give this a try. Let me just copy this. Okay. This is interesting, but I get it now. So now I can import this type text route model in a controller, for example. So I guess that's what's happening here. So if I go to the controller's documentation thingy, import controller, blah, 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 import, now we'll type check, routes. Working with route models. Okay, so blah, 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 export type model from So, again, this doesn't look quite right because it's model from R extends route. It's like the language here is different. But then we have my route model equals model from. So import my route from routes my route, and then no, okay, I don't know. But the syntax thingy is not complaining, and I'm not using DS. So let's find other files that use DS. So text, places, and contributors. like this is redundant, but whatever. So I guess kind of what this does is by exporting this type places route model, the problem with the way I was doing this earlier by defining that this would always return the DS promise array is I was promising that because it was always returning the store find all. But the model is supposed to be more flexible than that and not necessarily return, a promise array. So it was it feels like the issue is that it was locking me in a little bit too deeply into this sort of thing. So okay, so that's places, and then the last one is contributors. Right. Okay, and there are no model hooks on contributor or place yet. Okay, so I think well, let's see if this works. Okay, so here we are. So I just wrote in the Discord that the where was I? That this ends in the middle of a sentence, and there we go. So, all right, so let's see if the app is running with these changes. Signs point to no. Okay, what are the complaints? Application, well, these are different problems. This is a embroider. Oh, did this happen when I updated embroider? Okay, so let's build again. Okie dokie, so now we have compat add-ons, so we have these two show up here, and then we have the same problem here. So on the Discord today, someone was talking about how they were having difficulty with Ember Leaflet. And these problems here you can't really see probably on the screen. Let me close this a little bit and let me zoom in the inspector a little bit. Come on. So it's problems in Leaflet. So if I go to a place where Leaflet doesn't exist, this works appropriately. So we know it's a problem with Leaflet, and this problem with Leaflet is new, and with Embroider, you can check the Discord and see what the issue is. But the texts is the file that I was working on, the TypeScript file, everything loads fine here. So the typing there is okay. So I also have these two problems. This is also something I noted to the maintainers or the current maintainer of Ember Clean Mirage, and actually let's update Mirage to 2.3.2 and run it because I said, hey, this doesn't really work, and I whoa. Okay, so different problem. Apparently that patch is not available, so let me look at what concretely the maintainer told me. EC Mirage, do you mind to check if tested locally, so plan to release I can't do that during the stream. It's too much. I'll have to like fork Ember Clean and link it and whatever, and I'm not smart enough to do all that. So what are the changes to package? So that doesn't work. Oops, I can just do it this way. Go away. And then let's dial embroider down. So the okay, so let's dial back down to 0.47. So I can update these route things, so I can add this. So I guess this is a refactor.
Let me see what you're about. Saw the sheep. I used to because the old ladies in New York got the place to be. Just don't let it be.
Okay, so okay, so I use the resolve pattern with the route model hook. Okay, that's great. And then I want to downgrade embroider. Okay, so is it just these three that changed? Yes, okay. So one of the reasons I went on hiatus for a month, other than, you know, the holidays and whatever, was because the way the Earth is turning at 4 o'clock, the sun is right in my face, and I'd hoped that by now the Earth would have turned enough that this would no longer be the case. But as you have seen, that I've had the sun on me all stream since it started working. Okay, so I updated I downgraded embroider, right? And that's correct. And then now let's try again. Okay, so okay, so this is back, and then all right, so Leaflet is back to working, and so just because I'm, I guess, streaming and chit-chatting on Discord at the same time, I might as well go to the Ember Leaflet channel and say, Ember Leaflet, and say, Okay, so the person who was having the problem was using Ember Leaflet 5.0.0, 5.0.0. I said it right the first time. And then where's my mouse? There it is. So actually, let's see what version of Ember Leaflet I'm using here. 5.0. Oh, nope. So my mistake. Those were in the beta for 5.0. Using Embroider 0.47.2 should work with Ember Leaflet 5.0.0. Okay, so that's what happened. Is when Ember Leaflet went up to 5.0, I noticed a couple little problems, and then but it was still in the beta for 5.0, and then those got fixed around and whatever. Okay, I haven't taken a break, and I feel like a little bit like jazzed or whatever, and the sun is getting to me a little bit, and I need to sort of breathe, and y'all maybe want to hear the end of trucking. I don't know. So I'm going to take a break. So I will be back in a little bit.
Thank you.